Welcome to RECO12. I'm Justin, your host and a grateful child of an all-powerful, all-loving God and an addict living in the miracle of recovery one day at a time. RECO12 is all about exploring the common threads of addiction of all kinds and sharing tools and hope from those on a similar path. We gather from diverse backgrounds, faiths, and places to learn and support one another. Our speakers represent various fellowships, addictions, and afflictions, reflecting the richness of our shared experiences. Join us in this journey of recovery and unity. Today's speaker for the 225th meeting is Chuck H., who is another first-time RECO12 speaker. I'm excited to have all these first-timers coming in here, and I'm excited to hear his share today on Step 10. We will get to his talk and the Q&A afterwards in just a minute. First, for a little bit of business. As many of you may be aware already, RECO12 has several recovery resources in our family of podcasts and social media communities. To learn more, listen more, connect more, and just hang out and learn and grow with us, you can check out the other podcasts, Noodle It Out with Nikki M., which releases every Tuesday, Big Book Roundtable, which releases every Thursday, and RECO12 Shares, which releases each time we get enough recorded shares to release it. To learn more about each of these podcasts, check out the chat or the show notes, or go to www.reco12.com. That's RECO12.com to learn more. And to join our communities, check out the chat and show notes. I'm also on the lookout to schedule other speakers for future RECO12 meetings. I still have a couple of weeks in March open. April and May, I have a few weeks open in each of those months. So if you are someone or know someone with a message to share, please reach out to me at reco12.com at gmail.com. I'm sorry, reco12pod at gmail.com, and we will get that ball rolling. RECO12 is a self-supporting service, and your contributions help us continue our mission. Thank you this last week to David, Teresa, and Halsum for being spearheads and supporting this cause. If you would also like to support RECO12 and become a spearhead, visit reco12.com/support for a one-time or monthly donation options, or you can check out the links that I'll have in the show notes and in the chat of this meeting. Your support makes a difference in sharing our message of recovery. We look forward each meeting and each week to receiving from the light reflected from our speakers. That light inspires hope, meaning, worth, and growth in us, the listening audience. Now I'm going to introduce our guest speaker for today, Chuck H., and give a little bit of background on him. Chuck started his sobriety journey July 9th, 2020, after feeling useless to everybody, especially to himself. That's when he stuck a pistol in his mouth. He drank to blackout since he was 13 years old, and at 46 finally hit his bottom. The 12 steps has led him to a God that he has only been able to experience through working the 12 steps and living them on a daily basis. Chuck has found usefulness in his life, usefulness to others, and especially usefulness to himself. Chuck thanks God for bringing him to AA, and we're grateful that God brought him to RECO12. Take it away, Chuck. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Justin. Hi, everybody. My name's Chuck. I am a grateful recovered alcoholic today. And like Justin said, my journey in Alcoholics Anonymous began on July 9th, 2020. And it's been a wonderful way of life so far. I came into this program not because I wanted to, because I felt I had to. That morning, July 9th, 2020, after living a life of selfishness, which I'd never seen before, I thought this was my life, and I was living it to the best of my ability. After I graduated a religious school, I walked out of there on graduation day and said to myself, thank God I don't have to do that anymore. And that's how I live my life. The drive for success was on, like it says in Bill's story. And, it was all about money and toys and look at me, look at me, look at me. My stuff's better than yours. And if you had something better than mine, I would work twice as hard to try to achieve something better than yours and then try to rub it in your face. I didn't see this as living selfish. I got married in to a wonderful woman. She had a couple of kids that I got the opportunity to help raise. And looking back, it was all selfishness. My drinking got out of control, out of hand several times throughout our marriage. And when it was told to me what I did or what I said, the night before, that guilt, shame, and remorse that the book talks about, it was deep in my guts, that next morning. And I would try to correct my behavior by not drinking for a couple of days or a week or a month. And when in my mind I thought everything was smoothed over, I'd go right back to it. The day she's told me that, she's not been happy for many years. She's been telling me this all this time, you need to change, you need to quit drinking. I can't do this anymore. I don't want to be married to you anymore. I said, oh, you were serious about that? It's like typical alcoholic, right? It's not over until it's over. And I said, okay, so I move out and I move into a 1-bedroom apartment, and then I continued to drink at her for 3 years, fifth a day, as much out of a case of beer as I can get in my guts before I black out or pass out. And then, rinse and repeat. I was able to maintain a job. I'd go to work, still buzzed or hungover, and tell myself while I'm suffering that morning's hangover, I'm not drinking today. And then by the end of the day, I'd pull out of work, and somehow my car would make that right turn right into that liquor store, and I'd do it all over again. Unbelievable. Waking up the next morning with 5 half full open beers throughout the apartment and a full fifth of liquor, and then about an inch left on the fifth that I started from. And I don't even remember going to the liquor store and getting that full fifth. The obsession when I wasn't drinking was always there. I can't wait to get out of here so I can go get liquored up. When I was drinking, just like the book says, to oblivion. That was me. That's how I drank. That morning, something clicked into my mind while I had that pistol in my mouth. I don't know how I didn't pull the trigger, but I do believe God had a better plan for me. I remembered my father who tried AA, and I went online, and there's a meeting hall right down the road from me, and a guy answered, and he says, we're having a meeting tonight at 7:00. Come on down. I'm in the parking lot at 6:30 that night, and nobody shows up. 7:15, I call the guy, and he's like, I'm so sorry, we had to shut it down because of this COVID thing. And I'm like, what do I do now? So I think that was my first turning point. Book talks about. I could have drove to the liquor store and got another bottle, but I didn't. I came back to the apartment. I went online, and there was all Zoom meetings. There was this fellowship that I knew nothing about, and I went into a 24-hour marathon meeting. I think it was out of New Zealand, and it was pretty amazing. I heard a guy named Cajun Bear talking, and he told my story, and I reached out to him in the chat. I heard my story over and over and over. I thought I was the only one that suffered from this gut-wrenching pain, this misery in my mind, and I heard it over and over. And then I heard about how people aren't living like that anymore. I said, oh my God, that intrigued me. I sat there that first whole week just shaking, and I couldn't even keep water down, but I stayed on that meeting 24 hours a day, and I listened, and I heard my story, and I heard the hope, and I was like, man, I want this thing. I heard, get a sponsor, get a book, go through these steps with a sponsor that knows what these words mean in this book, get a home group, be of service at that home group. And I was able to do that. I went into, I found a meeting called This Too Shall Pass, which is every night on Zoom still. And I was able to be the speaker seeker. They have a speaker meeting Monday through Friday and read the literature on the weekends. And So that prompted me with that commitment to go to many other meetings on Zoom and listen. And when I heard somebody that I thought had a good message to share with the group, I would hit them up in the chat and get their number and talk with them on the phone and listen to their story. They'd listen to mine, and it's amazing how similar the thinking is. Circumstances might be a little different, but that mental obsession and physical allergy, it was there. So God brought me to that home group. I think it put me in that commitment to meet thousands of alcoholics all around the world, and it's been amazing. That really rocketed my sobriety. I got a first sponsor. His name is Chicago Bears Dave. He lives in LA. Figure that, right? But he took me through my first set of steps, and there was that fourth step was pretty amazing. The ninth step, when I got to the ninth step, making the amends. The biggest one for me that first time around was going to the gravesite and making amends with my parents. And, I had this overwhelming sense of freedom after that amends, because I blamed my father for the way I turned out. I blamed my father for me becoming an alcoholic. And through working the process of these steps, I love my father today. I am grateful that he gave me life. And these words are coming from a guy who, as a teenager growing up, even though I was doing the same thing, drinking the same way as my father, I couldn't stand him because I watched how he acted, and I did the same thing. I became my father, So, but going through these steps with Dave, it was a new freedom and a new happiness that the book talks about. And what a wonderful promise that, oh man, I don't know. It was amazing. So now after I'm done with my steps, what do? I have to find a newcomer to take through these steps. And God put this guy, Eric, in my life, and took him through the steps, how I was taken through. And he's coming up on 3 years sober in August. And it's amazing watching him, just listening to him. I get to talk to him a lot. And just the hope that he has in his heart today. His 3 young children love him. His wife loves him, and they have a happy home today for the most part. But, it's just amazing. And then watching him help a Idaho potato farmer go through the steps. And then watching Jaron help a guy in New York. This thing just keeps rolling and rolling, and it's amazing to watch these guys. I love it. Usefulness. The opposite of how I felt the day I came into AA. Usefulness. Thank you, God, right? From hopeless, helpless, useless to the opposite of that. How does that happen? By going through 164 pages in a book with a sponsor. I still don't understand how it happened. It's truly amazing. Going back to my first sponsor, he invited a bunch of us to these book studies that were online. My current sponsor is Roy K. out of Florida. He knows he's my sponsor because I get to talk to him almost every morning. We do a bunch of readings together. But him and Terry F. were doing book studies. Roy had 4 of them going online at the same time. And those guys really made this thing come alive to me. I don't know if you can see that, Justin, but I mean, it's right. I showed Justin some highlights and underlines in my book, and the whole thing's highlighted, right? I mean, it's all gold, solid gold. But, after I listened to these guys and I was following along in the new book and highlighting and underlining, I was just blown away how much knowledge these guys had. I asked Dave, I said, I'm thinking about asking Roy to take me through the book. And I didn't get the response from Dave that I thought I was going to get. I thought I was going to get, what are you talking about? I'm your sponsor. He said, hell yeah, man. Learn all you can. He And then he says, when you're done, maybe I'm going to ask Roy to take me through the book, So Dave and I love that man. I love Roy. These guys helped save my life. They've taught me so much. I continue to be willing to learn on a daily basis from Roy through his experience and right out of the book. And today, my favorite step is step 10. There's some words in that first paragraph. It starts with, on page 84 of the big book, it starts with, this thought brings us to step 10. But about 6 or 8 lines down, it says, this is not an overnight matter. It should continue for my lifetime. I need to continue to watch for selfishness, dishonesty, resentment, and fear. And that next word, it says, when these crop up. And my sponsor, Roy, says to me, he's like, 30 years sober. I think he was 29 years sober when we went through this first time. And he says, you don't think I feel those things? He goes, I don't care how long you've been sober. If anybody says they don't have selfishness, dishonesty, resentment, and fear throughout their life, they're lying to you. He goes, I get that on a weekly basis. It says when, not if they crop up. And that really, that bonded me closer in my heart to Roy, because right there I knew he was telling me the truth, and he's been telling me the truth. Do I want all those things to disappear out of my life? Absolutely. But I'm human. I'm going to make mistakes. So these will crop up in my life, and they have. Drinking or sober, right? A lot more when I was drinking before these steps. But it's pretty amazing that there was some issues going on in my life after doing these steps with Roy. And I'm like, man, when does it get easier, right? When does this fear and this selfishness, when does it subside a little bit? And he explained to me, the longer you do this and practice this way of life, it'll be easier to sweep those thoughts and turn your thoughts to somebody you could try to help. And that's what it says right there in the book. When these crop up, we ask God at once to remove them. We discuss them with someone immediately. Sounds like step 5 to me. And make amends, step 9, quickly if I have harmed anyone. And, I've been able to practice that. And Roy was right. I am able to sweep these thoughts and then that making amends quickly to anybody. And it happens a lot to me on the job site. I get to practice that pause before words just spew out of my mouth that's going to hurt somebody's feelings. And then if something does come out of my mouth, I'm actually paying attention to people today. I'm looking in their eyes today because I can. I'm not hiding anything. I'm not ashamed of anything I've done. So when I say something and I can see it in their eyes that it offended them or it hurt their feelings, I get to go back and think about it. And then I usually go back up and I say, hey, did I say something wrong? And it happens at work all the time. And I listen and I let them express themselves. A lot of times people don't want to open up a can of worms. They say, no, you're good. But I've experienced in the last couple of years that, yeah, the way that came out of your mouth, I don't understand it. It did offend me. So I get to make that amends right there instead of holding on to something or thinking in my mind, is this person thinking a certain way or feeling a certain way about me? It's pretty amazing how I get to do that today. That next sentence is pretty amazing. Then we resolutely turn our thoughts to someone we can help. Love and tolerance of others is our code. That's that sweep and turn. When I'm feeling a certain way, when I'm stuck in self and I'm not getting my way in life or where I should be in my sobriety. I've been sober 3.5 years. I should be so much further along. I should have this in my life. or this person in my life, when I'm stuck in self, the more I do this program, practice this way of life, it's easier and quicker for me to sweep those thoughts and turn them to someone I can help. I love that. Sweep and turn all day long. These promises at the top of page 85, Justin, it's pretty amazing. We react sanely and normally. Who would have thought, right? I don't know about you, but I remember when people would step on my toes when I was liquored up, the stuff that would come out of my mouth or the way I would react to people was insane. It's like people would just back away and just walk away from me because what is that lunatic doing? Half the time, I don't even remember, you know? Why else would I drink other than to black out and not feel my feelings anymore? That's how I drank. Step 5 was pretty amazing to me because the first time around with Dave, there was something I was holding on to. And I played the victim over that situation ever since I was a little kid. And that was a major thing I drank about because I felt less than for years. And I was able to, let my current sponsor, Roy, know what had happened to me when I was a kid. And I can share that in a meeting right now. It's pretty amazing. Something I was going to take to my grave because it made me feel less than a man. Today I can talk about it. And I asked my sponsor, I said, where was my part in that? You know what I mean? I was an innocent kid. This happened to me. I don't have a part in it. And he said, you've been playing the victim and using that as an excuse to get blackout drunk for all these years. He explained to me, is that still happening to you today? I said, absolutely not. He said, is there a chance that could happen to you today? I said, absolutely not. So now I get to let it go and I get to see the other person as a sick person. So I'm not looking down on them, blaming them. That was a tough one, Justin. It was really tough. But with practice, it just came. All these steps are very important to do them in order, very important to do them with somebody that's done them before. I thank God every day when I wake up for another day of sobriety. And my sponsor taught me a little prayer. Put me in, coach. I'm ready to play, right? Basically, what that means to me today is please put somebody in my path that I can try to help today. And I say try because I'm not responsible for the results, just the effort. There is one who has all power, and it's not Chuck. There is a God, and Chuck's not it. I hate when my sponsor says that to me. Don't you know who I think I am, Justin? Come on. But it's been so amazing, the people that this program, I should say God, has put into my life today. I have this wonderful fellowship with these people that we all came into that This Too Shall Pass meeting right around the same time. And, all those people are doing this deal, this way of life, and trying to live these steps. And I get to connect with people in these group texts, call them on the phone from all over the country. And, my friend Joe B up in Nova Scotia, he's an old timer. I think he's got like 150 years sobriety, the way he portrays himself and how he lives his life. All these people that God put in my life today is it is a life beyond my wildest dreams. I'm talking all this positivity, and you want to hear some negative stuff for those people still suffering. I was able to, I met a person in recovery, and it didn't work out, a relationship, and it broke my heart. And I know it broke that person's heart. It wasn't the right person. And I went around the fellowship and I cried and whined to my sponsor mostly. on a daily basis. When is God going to put the right person in my life? When am I going to get the girl? Because I'm ready. I've been sober. I've been living this way of life. I got the job. I got the toys back. I got everything that I could want. I have a God in my life that I pray to every day, something that I didn't do for 40 years. And now I feel in my heart, in my head, that I'm missing this one thing in my life. And it was explained to me that I need to learn who I am as a sober man. So I can take a sober Chuck into a relationship and not try to, repeat my same codependent, whatever you want to label it as, self-pity, all that stuff into a relationship and ruin somebody else's life, like I did with my first wife. I didn't like hearing that truth. My sponsor told me, be patient. God has the right person for you. And I went on my first date on New Year's Eve. Oh, couple more minutes. I went on my first date on New Year's Eve with a recovered woman, and she's amazing. She'll have 6 years on October 8th, and she loves this book. She loves God. She loves this way of life. I watch her, how she interacts with her grandkids. I'm 50 years old, so, I have a grandson, and she has grandchildren, and it's just amazing how we can talk about this book, these steps, this way of life. And I don't know what else to say about that other than the patience that I have to learn with everything in my life brings me right back to step 10, because these things are going to crop up. My selfishness. It's my time now. Where's my relationship? When these crop up, I had to sweep those thoughts, turn them to somebody I can help. I got to start a big book study, and doing that on Zoom gets me out of myself. Calling my sponsor gets me out of myself. Trying to find a newcomer to take through this book gets me out of myself. So that step 10 right there is huge in my life today. When these crop up, my selfishness, it's all selfishness. It's going to continue for a lifetime. My selfishness, my dishonesty, my resentments, my fears, it's going to continue for a lifetime. But now I have the tools that I can just sweep and turn all day long. Turn my thoughts. That is the biggest one in my life. Turn my thoughts to somebody I can try to help today. And it's been working, so I want to keep doing it. Justin, I want to thank Everly. She's the one that reached out to me and connected us. I really appreciate what you're doing here, and I appreciate everybody in the audience. I love God. I love AA today, and it's saved my life. The steps, the people in AA. I didn't do none of this. All I needed was the willingness to keep doing it. And why wouldn't I? It's either death. For me, it was either death or do these steps. That's the message that I heard early on. And I'm glad I heeded that message. And I'm glad I get to continue to live this way of life, because it's amazing. So thank you so much. Love you, man.
Oh, thank you so much, Chuck. That was really cool. I really appreciate your sharing your experience, strength, hope, sharing about step 10 in your life. I've written down several questions here. We've got some questions from the live audience, and a reminder to our live audience, if you have a question for Chuck, please type it in the Q&A link at the bottom of your Zoom window. Looks like two speech bubbles over the top of each other. We'll get to those as we go along here. I want to start off a little bit here with something you said early on in your share. It was after you moved out, your first marriage was falling apart, and you had moved out, and you said, I continued to drink at her for the next, while. I think it was 5 months is what you said, but you drank at her. Talk to me about what that means to drink at someone, and what that means to you, and how that really affects or spirals things.
Yeah, I mean, it's the great I am, right? How dare you leave this relationship? Don't you know what I've done for you and the kids all these years? And it was just pure resentment. I couldn't stand the thought of me being a failure. So the only thing that got me out of that was getting blackout drunk. I'll show you, I'll kill myself. You think I got a problem, I'll show you. And it was just, grab that handle and just suck it down. So, I mean, that was basically it.
So the concept of drinking at someone or whatever it may be, at someone is just like saying, "I'll show you." You think that you think that I was horrible then. I'll show you. just showing them and being just bitter and resentful at it. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, we have a question come in from Nikita from our live audience. Nikita says, "Thanks for sharing, Chuck. What good habits or hobbies have you developed during recovery that really have worked out for you in those hard times?"
Oh, thank you for that question. I mean, the good habits that I have now, it starts when I wake up. It's just a simple prayer. And then just my living space is clean, you know? Um, for me, I'd get out of bed and stumble around when I was drinking and just, dishes piled up, garbage overflowing. It's just the simple things. That is the good habits. I get up, I thank God, I make my bed real quick. It takes a minute. And then just simple hygiene, right? Taking a shower a couple times a day, before work, after work, brushing my teeth, all the things that I didn't do. So those are the habits, just generally taking care of my physical well-being. I get to make doctor's appointments and actually go to them, right? I mean, as a man, I don't know about a lot of you guys, but I never went to the doctor. There's nothing wrong with me, right? Now I'm actually getting preemptive checkups. My hobbies right now it's just, I'm learning who I am still in what I like to do, because everything I did, I was a big outdoorsman, hunting, fishing, riding snowmobiles, four wheelers, dirt bikes, all that type of stuff. But all that stuff I did drunk. How I'm not dead from doing those activities, thank you God. But um, right now, my biggest one, I love motorcycles. I got my first Harley last year, and I really enjoy just that wind in my hair and feeling free. So that freedom that I get from Alcoholics Anonymous, and then little rumble under the seat doesn't hurt either. So that's what I'm into right now. Thank you.
Oh, that's awesome. And that takes me to some of the promises of the big book. And I think this is a ninth step promise. Fear of others and of economic insecurity will leave us, and I think some of the things that you talked about there kind of tie into that. You also mentioned that, all of those things that made you you before, the hunting, the fishing, the outdoors activities, the four-wheeling, snowmobiling, were all centered around drinking. And you're trying to re-find yourself, find out, okay, who am I really without this, without alcohol? Who am I? And I like how you talked about some of those things. What is possibly a new thing you're discovering about who you are that you didn't know while drinking?
I can actually listen to people today. I can hear what they're saying. And there's a lot of people around me in my life right now, inside and outside of AA, that tell me thank you, because that usefulness in my life today has spread beyond AA. My family comes to me with questions, problems, people at work, and people actually value my opinion today. I'm so grateful that I didn't, develop that wet brain the way I was drinking. Um, yeah, just being sober and being able to be there for people. It's pretty amazing.
I love that. I love that. And I see that in my own life, and I see that in others' lives who are embracing and living the principles of recovery. It's a beautiful thing. I've got a question for you regarding step 10, and when to start practicing the principles, uh, um, when to start watching for, resentment, dishonesty, fear, all these things that we start watching for in step 10. Do you think that that's something that, well, do you start on that as you're working the steps, as you go throughout your day, or do you wait until step 10 in the big book, getting to that before we start saying, hey, here's how we do a step 10. Tell me about your experience with that and your thoughts on that.
Well, my experience with that is I didn't realize that I had fears. You know, I didn't even hear the word resentment until I came into an AA meeting. I don't think I've ever heard that word. And it's amazing that I hear it all the time now, inside and outside AA. My dishonesty, I never thought I was dishonest. I thought I was living my truth, you know. Um, so for me, my experience, Justin, it took me to work through that fourth and fifth step, see my part in things in that fifth step, and then actually have the willingness and then start experiencing the freedom that I felt in my heart and my guts by starting to make those amends to actually understand what the dishonesty, the resentment, the fears, going through those in the fourth step. It really took to do it in that order for me to realize what step 10 really meant and how to practice it.
I like that description. I've heard different perspectives of when to start somebody working at least the principles of step 10, and I like that because yes, it's taken me a while, and I'm still learning what does it mean to have fear, to have resentment, to be dishonesty. Where am I dishonest? Well, sometimes I lie to myself so much that I can't even see the dishonesty. So I like how you said, hey, I need to learn about these things before I can really start practicing them. Thanks for sharing that. Um, I was wondering if you would be willing to go through a live step 10 type situation with me where I'm the guy that's calling you and saying, dude, I am resentful right now, and kind of walk me through that process. Is that something you're willing to do?
Oh, you're scaring me now. I'll give it my best shot. I sure will.
Awesome. All right, and I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna share something that is eaten my soul the last couple of days. I have a resentment against the accounting program that we use in the work in my work um, that is really exaggerate or really flaming a fire of well, some issues with our taxes, and I am going crazy with it, and I want to burn this company to the ground. So I have a resentment against QuickBooks. So talk to me through that. Let's do a step 10 on that.
So you have resentment towards QuickBooks
Mm-hmm.
because it's not going your way.
Because the way I see it is the purpose that our taxes are a mess. Our business's taxes are a mess because it's not as user friendly and as I think it should be.
Oh, okay. So basically, oh my God, my sponsor's in my head right now.
Yeah.
So things aren't going your way.
No, they're not.
So you oh, God bless you, Roy. Get out of my head. But so there's fear that things aren't going to work out properly, correct?
Yeah, there's fear there, absolutely.
So what is that fear based on? Money? Is it?
Yeah, there's money. There's personal relationships, professional relationships that are in the balance here. Ambition is something that's definitely I can identify with. Yeah, those are some of the things that are affecting me, that are of mine that are being affected.
Okay, so it's all driven by ego, I think, right? It sounds like
Absolutely.
it. Yeah. I want to be perfect in every situation. Now that I'm sober, I have a good mind. I'm not fogged up. I should be able to handle every situation um, without mistakes. And when other people make mistakes, I can point them out quicker than I can see my own mistakes.
Huh. Yeah, and as we talk through this, I now see some of my own mistakes and my own negligence on this. That uh, I didn't do my due diligence to research what needed to be done before, this step of issuing 1099s or W-2s, and I wasn't as complete and thorough as I should have been. And I see that, as you say, as you're talking through this.
So the main thing is I need to remember that I'm human. And just like step 10 says, I will make mistakes. And here's where the fear comes in for me, Justin. If I don't know something or I make a mistake, my fear comes in, somebody's going to find out that I'm not perfect. It took me a long time to realize, and with my sponsor telling me he's got that Bronx accent, the Bronx. So his H's aren't there. So he says, we're human, Chuck. We're going to make mistakes. Human. I love that guy. But, it took me probably almost 2 years to realize that I am going to make mistakes. Sober. Every day sometimes. And that's where this 10th step comes in. Okay, I made this mistake. Do I want to repeat it again? Do I want to hide it, sweep it under the rug, and let that dishonesty from trying to hide my mistake compound? It's like the little lies I used to tell when I was drunk, right?
Mm-hmm.
I had so many lies out there, I couldn't even keep track of them. Right. And that's where the fear really, oh my God. And then I didn't want to feel the fear, so I drank over it, right? So if I can say to myself, I'm human, I'm going to make mistakes. Now, that's not an excuse just to fluff it off and, not even try to fix it. But if I can admit to myself that I am human, I'm going to make mistakes and then learn from those mistakes. That's the biggest thing that I get to do today sober is learn from my mistakes. And, the willingness to learn from my mistakes today instead of, like I said, trying to hide it. It's huge.
Yeah.
It's growth. It's growth every day.
Yeah, thank you for walking through that with me and opening my eyes to some things. Just in sharing step 10, that's one of the miracles I find in working and living in step 10 is when I talk to somebody else, all of a sudden my perspective is able to shift from something they say or point out at me, a blind spot that I have, that I realize, oh, well, there's my part. There's what I did. There's where I was wrong and need to address that and not just be a victim to, this big accounting software company. I'm not a victim to them. I chose my way into that. All right. We have a question from our live audience. This comes in from Boston Zoe. Zoe says, hi, yeah, I could relate to the loneliness piece and wanting to get into a relationship. That never worked. Due to loneliness, I can make serious mistakes and get into toxic relationships, even friendships in AA. How have you learned to stay away from the people who don't like Big Book?
Oh, thank you for that question, Zoe. That's a huge one. When I got sober after doing the first set of steps, I wanted to be friends with everybody. I wanted everybody to like me. I'm sober now. And then when I was interested in somebody, it's like I would do everything I can to still resort to my old ways to try to show them a stage character, somebody that I'm not yet. And I hear Roy in my head, patience, when God's timing is right, he'll put the right people in your path. And then I heard a speaker a long time ago as well, a couple of years ago. He said, hang out with the people that you want to be like. Do I want to hang around with the people that are, and God bless the people that haven't gotten this thing yet or aren't willing to stay in this book? Do you want to hang around with the people that are in and out, in and out, in and out, still living on self-will? Do you want to live your life on self-will for the rest of your life? How far did that get you? You know, or do you want to stick with the winners, the people that are doing this deal on a daily basis, that are trying to help other people on a daily basis? And once I started doing that, once I started sticking to that principle of looking for the newcomer, staying in this book with my sponsor every day, everything just came together. The job, the toys, the money, the relationship with this wonderful recovered woman. I don't know how or when you can put a time frame on it, but the promises did come true in my life, and they still continue. And that's because I am doing and still doing what was suggested. Stay in this book every day. Look for a newcomer. Try to help somebody today. Put me in, coach. You know, it's, and everything just, I can't explain it. I really can't. Why? The why or the how of it, I can't explain.
Yeah. That prayer that put me in, coach, I'm ready to play today. So often I want to be center field. I want to be the guy that gets all the attention. I want to be the cleanup hitter and the guy that I want to be Shohei Ohtani. I want to be that guy. But so often in my own life, my experience is that God says, okay, I want you to go play right field or go play. You're the ball boy today. You're the bat boy today. Um, how do you deal with that when you say put me in, coach, and it's either a role that you are not hoping for, or maybe one that gets less spotlight than you may want? How do you deal with that?
It's all going to my sponsor. Every day I try to get to talk to him and just catch up on where I'm at today. And that valuable friendship that I have with him today, we get to talk about anything and everything. He talks to me about his personal life today. It's not just strictly book. So I just learn from him as much as possible that it's not about me anymore. Even though that selfishness and that still crops up where I want to be the center, the great I am. That's why I feel in my life good sponsorship from somebody he does this on a daily basis all day long. That's what he does. He tries to help other alcoholics all day long. And I need that reminder on a daily basis that there is a God and I'm not it. And it's that simple for me. There is a God and Chuck's not it. Damn it. I hate when he says that to me. So that's all it is. It's just reminders for me.
No, thank you for walking through that. And I need that reminder very regularly myself. So next question comes from our live audience, and this is from Everly. And grateful that Everly was able to refer you to us, and grateful that she's here today. And she says, hey, I know what this practice is, but I'd like to get your point of view on it. Everly says, would you mind explaining how sending out the below daily reflections is helpful to others and is helpful in keeping yourself out of self? And then we go into the wisdom of the rooms, 12 months of reflections for people I blank. So what are your thoughts on that?
So in order to stay connected, when I usually do this when I get so busy, work's done, and I'm rushing around trying to get dinner going, trying to figure out what I'm going to do for the next day, because I get to travel for work now. So it's like I'm busy. And what connects me and what grounds me is I remember all these people that I got to meet. And there's this book called The Wisdom of the Rooms. I got it right here, Everly. Thank you. But there's a daily reading in there that gets sent to me from a wonderful woman. And what I do is I send it out to about 25, 30 people every day. And I hope it helps them. I hope it gives them the reminder to stop, take a breath, and read what's important. The most important thing in our lives as recovering alcoholics and addicts. It's staying connected to this program. I hear all the time that things can go great in life and I get everything back, and 20 years later I'm drinking like I never quit. I hear it all the time, and that scares the shit out of me. I don't want to be that guy. And it's always either the same thing. Life got really good. I quit going to meetings. I quit doing readings. I quit connecting with my sponsor. I quit helping trying to help other people because life got so good. So that simple reminder on a daily basis that I try to do is send those readings out to a bunch of people. It keeps me connected when I think I'm too busy. So
that reminds me of a phrase that someone told me in one of the rooms of recovery. He said a great definition of an alcoholic or of an addict of any kind is someone who finds something that works and then stops doing it. I get comfortable. Hey, things are great. I'm good. I'm sober. I can stop doing that. How do you identify with that phrase in your own experience?
Oh, I have to laugh at it. If we can laugh at ourselves, what is that? Rule 62, right? Because that's me. That's me. Everything's going great in my life. I don't need to do it anymore. I don't need to keep doing the things that made everything great in my life. Wow, ridiculous. That's my thinking. I want. And then when I get, I don't have to do the things that got me that. Unbelievable. You can't make this shit up. Hard thinking.
And it's just that next line right after we go through the 10th step promises. It's easy to let up on this spiritual program of action and rest on our laurels, but we're in big trouble if we do, right? Yeah, it's so easy to go, hey, these promises, these 10th step promises, the 9th step promises that we've just read through in the previous couple pages are happening in my life. Sweet. I'm good. I'm going to coast. Big trouble, right? Let's talk a little bit about those promises here for a minute. Of this 10th step promises, Chuck, which one of those is one that you're like, man, this thing just is rocking my world. I love this promise. I see it almost every day at almost all times. And then tell me one that maybe is eluding you a little bit and you only catch glimpses of it from time to time.
That's a tough one. That is a tough one for me because right now in this moment, everything is going my way. I got reminded that my sponsor reminded me of that yesterday. He's like, you're doing the deal. You're in this book, you're helping others, you're doing a book study. You got the car, the motorcycle, the job, the woman, the material things. I guess it would be fear. Fear of losing what I have. Again, because I had this whole life built up before I worked at a company. I became the big boss, making a lot of money. I had the wife, the kids, a huge house with tons of property, all the toys that you can think of for outdoors and blah, blah, blah. And then I lost it. So I guess it would be fear today. Power, peace, happiness, right? I think the main thing is losing this power that I have today, that God-given power. And that power for me today is the willingness. I fear losing that willingness sometimes. Because on a daily basis, I have to be willing to want to keep growing and learning. You said it earlier, I got this, right? Mm-hmm. The moment I say I got this because I got everything back, I'm done. Yeah. You might as well just hand me a bottle and, let me start drinking.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And that's a phrase that anytime I say or hear in my mind or hear anybody else say, I got this, even if I'm not worried about them and their whatever their position is in life, when I hear that, my head gets on a swivel real quick. I got this. Oh, crud. Why am I thinking this? Where am I taking back self will? Where am I taking back thinking that I'm the one that does all this? The great I am here. And I need to be really careful with that. Chuck, as we get ready to wrap this up, do you have any other words of wisdom that you'd like to share with us?
I think the main thing is what we just talked about. Please have the willingness to give these steps a try if you haven't done them yet. I was talking to a guy at work today, and he came up to me, and everybody at work knows that I'm a recovering alcoholic or recovered alcoholic, however you want to phrase it. And I don't hide it from anybody because I love this way of life. I get to treat people better. But this guy came up to me and he was talking about his brother-in-law who's, his liver's failing, and he told him that he won't go to AA because they say God, 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 God. My biggest I just want people to. Oh, I'm losing it a little bit. My internet's unstable, just like me at times. But I guess the biggest thing is don't let that God word, if you hear it in the room, scare you out. Because it's been my experience having the willingness to do that, even though I went to that school and I did away with that lifestyle and the God word. Didn't live it in my life for many years. There's a strange thing that happened after doing these steps and having this awakened spirit again. My spirit is awoke from doing these steps, and I just started praying, really praying about a year and a half ago, and it wasn't selfish prayer. It was praying for other people. Now, who am I praying to? I don't know. I don't understand who I'm praying to. But watching all these promises that are all throughout this book come true for other people that I try to help, watching them grow, watching their eyes light up and get excited about life today, the God thing's just going to come automatically. Sorry to tell you the truth, but, after doing these steps, I had nothing to do with my awakened spirit. It was a power greater than me. There is a God in my life today. And it just came. I can't explain how it came to me. I really can't. But I feel it on a daily basis. So if that God word scares you from opening this book up with a sponsor and going through this thing, please don't let it. Please don't let it. That's about it.
Beautiful. Yeah, thank you, Chuck. Big thanks. And thank you for a fantastic RECO12 weekly speaker meeting. If we missed any questions out there, people didn't have time or courage to send a question in, please consider joining our WhatsApp community and putting those questions in the chat in our WhatsApp community. You can join there by sending an email to RECO12pod@gmail.com, joining the conversation. If you haven't already done so, please consider going to rate and review this podcast on Apple Podcasts. It's a powerful and simple way to work your step 12 and make sure that this message gets out to more and more people who may benefit from it. Next week, we will be here. We're scheduled to hear from another first-time RECO12 speaker, Ralph D., whose talk is entitled "Resentment and Obsession of the Mind is a Dangerous Playground," and I'm excited to hear from him in that topic. Next week, our meeting's going to look just a little bit different. For the first 2.5+ years of RECO12s, all meetings have been like this. It's a webinar format where just the speaker and the host are able to see each other. You and the live audience just see us. We don't really see you. You don't see each other. Next week, we're going to start shifting to a meeting format where it's a Zoom where people can see each other, a little bit more interactive. And it may make things, well, I'm excited to make more of a community situation in this, in RECO12. So we're going to start that next week. Come back, check it out, and join in this community. All right. Now, as we launch off into the rest of our day, Chuck, you said that you like the prayer of Saint Francis. Are you able to say that for us? Is that something you're willing to do right now? Awesome. Have at it.
Absolutely. This prayer is in 12 Steps, 12 Traditions, page 99. Lord, make me a channel of thy peace, that where there is hatred, I may bring love, that where there is wrong, I may bring the spirit of forgiveness, that where there is discord, I may bring harmony, that where there is error, I may bring truth, that where there is doubt, I may bring faith, that where there is despair, I may bring hope, that where there are shadows, I may bring light, that where there is sadness, I may bring joy. Lord, grant that I may seek rather to comfort than to be comforted, to understand than to be understood, to love than to be loved. For it is by self-forgetting that one finds. It is by forgiving that one is forgiven, and it is by dying that one awakens to eternal life. Amen. Thank you, Justin.
Amen, Chuck. Remember, everybody, there's one who has all power. That one is God. May you find God now. Keep coming back. Come all the way in, sit all the way down, and let's trudge this road of happy destiny together. Work it. You are worth it.
I've seen stars fall from above. I've fallen in and out of love. I've been high and I've been low. Now I know I just can't do this on my own. I've seen a boy become a man. He got lost without a plan. He's so far away from home. Now I know I just can't do this on my own. Your arms surrounding me. Your touch is grounding me. No longer searching for purpose all alone. 'Cause now I know that I just can't do this on my own. I'm looking for the words to say. You make the world a better place, and I can call that place my home. 'Cause now I know that I just can't do this on my own. Your arms surrounding me. Your touch is grounding me. No longer searching for purpose all alone. 'Cause now I know that I just can't do this on my own. So let me see just what you need to set you free, so we can be. I saw stars fall from above. I fell in and out of love. I got high and I fell low. But now I know that I just can't do this on my own. No, I just can't do this on my own. I just can't do this on my own.